Mark Stevenson here again. Welcome to another episode of From the Wheelhouse. And boy, oh boy, we're going to have a really good show today. I mean, a really, really great show. I have two beautiful ladies. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I get to be squeezed in by two beautiful ladies from the Chicago Maritime Museum, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be talking today about the Maritime Museum and what it means to Chicago and what it means to you. So welcome. To my left, I have Madeline Crispell. She's the museum curator. And to my right, I know it's reverse here, but to my right, oh my goodness. Did I lose your name? Sari.
Yes.
Sari. Oh, hi, Sari. Hey, Sari.
Madeline.
Well, this is Sari.
Yeah, this is Sari.
This
over
is
here.
Sari. This is Sari. Okay, so I messed up the introduction. Okay. However,
Good so far.
Yes.
let's try to let you know this, that I have the outreach coordinator seated next to me. And that's Sari, not Siri.
So you can't ask her the weather.
No.
Breslin is her last name. And Crispell, Madeline, the curator, to my right. Now that I get it straight, let's move on. Oh, my goodness. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about this museum is that, hey, I want to be part of this museum also, and I want to become a member too. What do I have to do? I mean, I go to the Field Museum, Museum of Science and Industry, the Museum of Art, but I don't know. I have been to the Maritime Museum because I'm a sailor, but how could I become a member?
That's a great question, Mark. It's very easy to become a member of the Chicago Maritime Museum. All you have to do is go to our website, chicagomaritimemuseum.org. Can sign up. A membership starts at only $35 an hour, and that gets in your whole household.
Well, $35 an hour.
An hour, okay. $35 a year.
Wow, okay, great.
But for hours of entertainment.
Isn't she cleans that up very well. Isn't it
Good
something?
job,
$35 membership for the whole family?
For the whole family, your whole household can come in. Now that's at $35. That's our lowest membership level. Now with that level, you get other benefits as well. You get invited to previews for exhibitions, to member-only events. You get to get discounts on all of our other events. For example, our Third Friday lecture series, where we have all kinds of interesting speakers who are coming from different angles of maritime history. And you also get a subscription to our newsletter On the Move, where you can hear about all kinds of interesting things going on in the Chicago maritime world.
Wow. Now, I want you to get off of your lazy behinds and get an ink pen and paper. I know you're yelling across the room for somebody to get it to you right now, but make sure that you write this stuff down. We're about to give you some very, very important information, some websites, telephone numbers, and so forth, so that you can find out how to get in touch with this not-for-profit group. And I've been talking with them. They're going to be doing their own television show. We're going to make sure we help them to do this because it's a lot of history in the museum. There's a lot to go with. I want to talk about some training, though. You have training programs, Sari. You have youth training programs that are scheduled at the museum as well.
Mainly what we've been doing is outreaching to schools. There are 74 schools within a 2-mile radius of the Chicago Maritime Museum in Bridgeport on 35th Street. And when students come in, a field trip that's free for students and their teachers We direct the tour to whatever curriculum they are currently working on, whether we are full STEAM, whether it's energy, or we had a group call us about their theater group was putting on Moby Dick.
Really?
And then we had one of an interesting trainings that we did. We did a sailing seminar with a group of students from Indianapolis, Empower Youth, that came in to do sailing at Jackson Park. And we arranged a Zoom call with our dear friend, Captain Bill Pinkney.
Bill
and he's
Pinkney.
and he Zoomed with the students, and they got to ask questions of him. They got to do on the water sail training, and we did.
Well,
all kinds
speaking of Bill
activities.
Pinkney, now those of you that have been following the show know that Bill Pinkney was my coach, my teacher, my big brother, my father, everything. Captain Pinkney did everything that there was to help me to become a professional at what I do in piloting boats. I just can't thank him enough. But here's another way that we're going to thank him. I see that the museum is now building on an exhibit. Is that so, Madeline?
That's right. Very excited to say that we'll have 2 new permanent exhibits opening at the museum this May that people will be able to come and see. One of those exhibits will be on Captain Bill Pinkney, and we'll explore his life and legacy, the way he used his incredible achievements to educate people, and specifically we'll look at his incredible solo circumnavigation voyage of the 5 southernmost capes.
Wow, that's fantastic. What about the field trips and so forth that are at the museum? Can schools visit you like they do regular museums?
Yes, absolutely. They come, and we we make the tour fit their curriculum, but just as Bill Pinkney did and the exhibit, we kind of based the design of the exhibit on the fact that he was an educator. When he did his solo circumnavigation, he was in contact before there was even Zoom learning.
That's a big fancy word. What's solo circum what?
Circumnavigation.
Oh, okay.
He sailed solo around the Capes, and but the most important thing, that education was so important to him.
So he
kept
stayed in
contact.
touch.
He stayed in touch through radio with the students in Chicago and students in Boston.
Actually, he stayed in touch with thousands and thousands of students,
Yes.
and they were learning from him what we know today as STEM.
Yes, yes.
That is so right.
Yep.
You know, also the position of where is this location of the museum? It's in Chicago, but where? Somebody said something about Bubbly Creek, but what the heck is that?
Well, another good question. The museum is on the shores of Bubbly Creek in Chicago's Bridgeport neighborhood. Now, if you've ever read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, if you remember your U.S. history classes, you know all about the meatpacking industry.
That's right.
And what happened with the refuse from that industry was it wound up in Bubbly Creek, and over time it bubbled up. And so there's been a lot of excellent conservation work that's been done on Chicago's waterways since then, but it's a very interesting piece of history, and it's a good location for our museum.
Why is Chicago such a strategic location for the maritime industry?
We were, from the earliest history of people living in this area, an incredibly strategic position. We were the crossroads of the United States, the place where the Great Lakes and the East Coast meet with the river system that leads to the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. Now, people have recognized for centuries what an important area that is, and we as Chicagoans still benefit from being the crossroads of the country.
We are really lucky to have two individuals from the Chicago Maritime Museum, Madeline Crispell, and we also have Sarah Breslin. And I'm telling you, we're very, very fortunate to be able to gather this type of information. But I want to know why do we have teachers involved now? I understand you used to be a teacher.
Yep.
But now you are a director of education and programs, and so what is that about that you're doing to help?
Well, I taught in the city, and there were so many students that I had that had never even been to the lake, because lots of students, they don't leave their neighborhoods, they don't know about the opportunities that are there on the lake, or the careers that are available on the waterways. So it's always been a drive of mine to get students to the water. Because if they don't go and they don't see it, they don't know that it's there. And they don't know the amount of careers that are available on the lake. So one of my goals at the museum is to have a career fair like we would have at school, because I taught high school. We would have, college fairs. I would love to have a career fair at the museum where we could invite students so they could see that you could, be air sea rescue for the fire department. You could work on one of the tour boats. You could work for the water reclamation. A lot of the information that you provide, Captain Mark, already to young people here in the city, I want them all to know.
Very good. Now, I saw some of the coolest displays. I mean, some of the really coolest displays that you could imagine at the museum. Tell me, what's your favorite, Madeline?
Boy, it's hard for me to pick one thing. At this point with a collection, it'd be like choosing between children. But if I had to pick just one thing, we have one of the dive suits that was used to rescue and recover people after the Eastland disaster.
The Eastland disaster?
Yes.
Briefly, what was that?
That was the worst maritime disaster on the Great Lakes in 1915. Over 800 people from the Western Electric Company drowned or were crushed to death by furniture when the USS Eastland tipped on the Chicago River. Now, we have a whole section of our museum dedicated to the Eastland disaster, the centerpiece of which is life-size, one of the real diving suits that was used in 1915. Now, you're imagining, Captain Cutler's Ghost. It's one of those dive suits with the big helmet, teeny tiny window, and it's so much more evocative to be able to see that in person and to understand what it would have been like for the people to wear those and to go down in the murky depths of the Chicago River.
The Eastland disaster, you can find out more about that by looking it up on YouTube. But we want you to come to the Chicago Maritime Museum. We want you to become a member at $35 a year. Oh my goodness, this not-for-profit needs your help, because if you came down there and saw all of the gold that they have for displays, oh my goodness, you would be really surprised. Now, I see on the screen that the Maritime Museum's website is there. It's backwards to me, so I hope that it's forward to you. But what does it say, just in case?
It is www.chicagomaritimemuseum.org. If you just Google Chicago Maritime Museum, you'll find us that way too.
And you can always find out more about these two ladies and the Chicago Maritime Museum by contacting Captain Mark Stevenson directly. All you have to do is email yourcaptainmark@gmail.com, yourcaptainmark@gmail.com. I promise I will return your message, and if you want to say something to these ladies, I'll make sure I forward it to their email addresses, okay? Now, I am just so excited to leave here today. Can we go down to the museum right now at this time of night?
I'd have to unlock it for you, but
But Madeline has a key.
I have a key. I've got a key in my backpack. But
Well, let me ask you this. I have a seminar series that I'm doing absolutely free. The seminar series is to educate those boaters who want to be in the business of charter boat renting charter boats, and learning how to become captains and learning how to become crew members on these boats. If you're interested in knowing more about this, our seminar will be at Jackson Park Yacht Club. Jackson Park Yacht Club is right across the street from Larrabee Hospital, and we'll be doing that. We'll be doing that on Saturday, March the 9th, from 1 to 4 p.m. But I want to ask you, we have part 3. Can we do something with doing part 3 right at the museum? How many people will it hold?
Well, that's a good question, and one that you'll want to direct to our events coordinator. So if you have any kind of questions about doing an event for you and your group at the Chicago Maritime Museum, we would welcome your inquiries. Just make sure you send an email to our events coordinator at events@chicagomaritimemuseum.org.
I need to really throw a big party over there. I'm going to have my 35th anniversary soon. My 35th anniversary, and I want to remarry my wife. Oh, did I say that? Yes. Yes, I want to remarry my wife.
That's a
And
wonderful thing.
I think that the museum would be one of the most beautiful places of all to have that ceremony performed. Honey, we'll talk about it when I get home, okay?
Well, it's in the museum is in the Bridgeport Art Center. And if you've been to the Bridgeport Art Center,
say
it's a
that.
beautiful, beautiful repurposed building. And the nice thing about it, it's a big free parking lot. You don't have
What?
to worry. Yeah, free. Where's there free parking in Chicago? And the same thing for teachers. All you teachers out there, bring your students to the museum. It's free for students and teachers and free parking.
So if you have children, make sure that if your children are in the public schools or parochial schools or whatever, I want you to make sure that you tell your child's teacher that they want to learn more about boats. They want to go to the Chicago Maritime Museum. That's for certain. Now, if you need to get in touch with these folks, again, the website is right at the bottom of the screen, and I want you to become members at $35 per year for a whole family. This is something that you can really, really enjoy. And tell us more about this art center that the museum is located within.
So it's a really interesting building. It's more than 100 years old. It was built in the 19-teens to house a manufacturing facility and warehouse for a company that supplied furniture, dishware, linens, anything that a hotel might need. And interesting for us, they also supplied material to passenger steamer ships. So the connection to maritime history, and almost any building of Chicago, it's going to run deep. So we've been an art center since the 90s with different studios and galleries and artist spaces. The third Friday of every month from 7 to 10, the entire building has an open house that's free to the public. And we always, to celebrate that open house, have a part of our lecture series, our third Friday lecture series. So it's an excellent time to come down, check out the museum, and to get anything, all the paperwork you need to sign up for your membership.
Now, when you teach the students about the museum and you're running these programs, do you talk about, I heard you say something about the river, the Chicago River was actually reversed. Do you teach about that?
Yes, we do. We talk about it because the Bridgeport Art Center is right on the river. So you walk to the back of the museum and you look out at the river. And we teach about it because the name Bubbly Creek came from the stockyards and what happened. And the reason that they reversed the river was because the people in the city of Chicago were getting typhoid and cholera from all of the decay in the river, and the engineers in 1900 came up with the idea. We have the only river that has been reversed, but it was quite an engineering feat. And since then, the waterfowl that we have there now, we see cranes out there. It's
incredible.
amazing.
Oh my goodness, if you have not
All
had the
cleaned up.
chance to get on a boat and tour the river this summer, make sure that you do it. All you have to do is contact Captain Mark. I'll make it happen some kind of way. We have to get your classes out there.
Yes.
We have to make sure that we bring as many young people and older people out on the lake, because it just seems like an act of God to reverse the flow of a river.
Yes.
Now we talk about Chicago being strategically located between the St. Lawrence Seaway and the Mississippi River. What is that about?
Well, it's about shipping in many ways. You know, the St. Lawrence Seaway is what opened up the Great Lakes directly to international trade and transit by connecting them to the Atlantic Ocean. So the Mississippi River, too, had to have something like that happen when the I&M Sanitary Canal was placed. And so that the creation of a canal that directly connected Chicago to the Mississippi is one of the reasons that our population ballooned in the 19th century.
So I tell you, I took a boat from New York City to Chicago on a delivery. I brought it into Chicago. 18 days it took me to go through the St. Lawrence Seaway and the canals that were built to connect the Atlantic Ocean with Chicago meant that as of right now, and tell me, is it true? As of right now, from Chicago by boat, I can get anywhere in the world.
Yes.
That's right.
I can go south down the Chicago River to the Illinois River,
Yep.
to the Mississippi,
To the Gulf of Mexico.
to the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, I want to go. I have a boat actually that's waiting on me in the Gulf. I'm going to bring it into Chicago. The PTF 26, the very last PT boat that was built, the same kind that John Kennedy had piloted. I can tell you, this is going to be fun coming up the Mississippi River. But if I wanted to go east, I could go east through the Great Lakes, through 4 of the 5 Great Lakes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I can go through the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Erie Canal?
It'll connect you then. So the Erie Canal, of course, one of the great big things that changed trade in Chicago. The reason we Chicagoans have an accent most similar to Buffalo, New York, rather than to any other city in the Midwest is because of that transit over the Erie Canal.
And that is so cool. I mean, that was really so cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us and we're going to be going off the air in just a few minutes, what's the most important thing that you want to tell these people? You first.
I want all young people, I want to bring them all to the water. I mean, it's just, water is gold. You know, water is the new gold. We have fresh water. There are so many wonderful, fun things to learn about and to do
Madeline?
all of our waterways.
Well, Chicago's history is a maritime history. There's no way to understand your city without understanding the history of the waterways that shaped it. I hope you'll come down to 35th and Racine, to the Bridgeport Arts Center, to the basement at the river level, and learn all about that at the Chicago Maritime.
Can I
Museum.
learn something about the Underground Railroad too?
You
Oh,
can,
yeah.
with a temporary exhibition we've just opened.
Oh,
a
my goodness.
Fabulous artist of the Chicago River whose parents may have
Oh,
traveled
there
the
it
Underground
is.
Railroad.
Ladies and
So much
gentlemen,
more to talk
I
about.
just am so grateful. There are so many more things that we could be talking about, but I want you to go to the website that you see at the bottom of the page and visit the Chicago Maritime Museum's website, and I want you to get off of your behind and go visit. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you then. I'm Captain Mark. So, Mama, get the coffee ready, because the kid, he's on his way.
Thank you, Captain Mark.
Thank you.